Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining me tonight as we have the second of our new segments, Pick Fives at the Spa. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Make sure if you have not subscribed yet, we're getting close to 400 subscribers. That list just keeps growing. I appreciate your support. Right there on the right side of your screen, go ahead and subscribe, and then after you hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when new content will arise on the show. Uh, Very excited to talk about tomorrow's late pick five at Saratoga. Very quickly before we do that, as you can see on my name tag, you can follow me on Twitter at hkravitz, or you can also email me hkravitzhorse at gmail.com. Again, that's hkravitzhorse at gmail.com. You can also reach me there. Had a very interesting day today. Very briefly, I sent this out on Twitter. For those of you that possibly didn't hear what happened today, I had a pretty surreal moment. That's all I got to say. If you would have told me 6 months ago that what happened today would have happened, I would have thought you were crazy. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the pick five bet. So let me just go ahead and set something up here real quick. So as you know, I had Andy Serling on the show uh, very recently. He was a great guest, really appreciate it. And he's got a show called Talking Horses, if you're familiar with that show. Here's the show. This was Anthony Stabile and Andy Serling this morning. This was today at about, I'd say about around 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. And guess what happened? I'm going to go ahead and play the audio. This was towards the end of the show today on Talking Horses on the Naira Network. Yes, Andy. Thank you, Andy Serling. Appreciate that. Threw out a little name drop right there, and a little shout out for the podcast talking about the Bruce Levine first time starter turf sprint stat that we talked about uh, on the show a few days ago. Anyway, thanks to Andy Serling. I decided to show that. I got a kick out of that. We already have some people uh, joining the show. We have Joe. Let's see what he has to say. He entered that spot contest by accident, which is interesting, and finished second place. Congratulations, Joe. Wow. Did well with our early picks on here, and appreciate it. Thanks, Joe. That's awesome. No, thanks to you. Very good. So Joe's joining the show tonight. Listen, it pays to listen to the HHH Racing Podcast. Let's go ahead and get on to the reason why we're on the show. We're going to talk about the late pick five. Today's late pick five was interesting. I lost the fourth leg when Rinaldi wired the field, but there was a big scratch with Flying Scotsman, and Rinaldi got loose like I thought he might. So my lone A that was a live two value proposition couldn't quite get there. But I made up for it in the last race when the 6-horse Uncle's a Gem, a second time starter for Linda Rice, a horse we talked about here on the show, went off unbelievably, almost 7-2, paid $8.90, had a nice win bet on that, and sort of that got me out for the day instead of hitting that late pick five with the tough beat in the fourth leg. But listen, when there's a scratch after you make your bet, that's always a tough situation. We got a lot of people watching the show. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up the past performances here. Give me just 1 second as I pull those up. They're going to be on the other screen. And we're going to talk about the late pick five that is happening tomorrow. Now, let's talk about tomorrow's weather. So, at Saratoga tomorrow, there's going to be rain. It's almost guaranteed. The weather forecast is a little bit iffy right now. It looks like it might not rain till late morning, early afternoon. Of course, the pick five starts, as I see the time there. The pick five starts at 4:29 Eastern Standard Time. Folks, you have to look at scratches and changes after you watch this video, whether you're watching it live tonight or whether you're going to watch a replay of this on Saturday morning or early Saturday afternoon. You have to check the weather and scratches and changes. There are two turf races scheduled in this late pick five. One of them is the grade one Diana. And unless the turf is unusable, I mean, unless there's some monsoon and they just have to cancel the race completely, that race is going to be on turf. They're not going to run that race on dirt, guarantee it. It's either going to be completely canceled out of the pick five or they'll run it on boggy conditions. So there is one race, it's the first leg of the late pick five tomorrow that is scheduled for turf. That one could very easily be taken off the turf. You'll just have to check scratches and changes. I'm going to talk about that race right now, and we'll cover turf and dirt. Kyle Roscoe joined the show. Kyle, thanks for joining. Arlington, yes, they have a big day tomorrow. It's one of their two big days of the summer. Faya joined the show. Who's going to win the first race? Wow, I wasn't planning on talking about the first race, Faya. I will take a look at that. You said Pletcher or Chad Brown. I'd have to look at that race, but actually, since you asked the question, I will answer. I'm looking at the screen to my right here. The first race tomorrow is a turf sprint, and I honestly don't know. Oh, you must be talking about the first race of the late pick five. Okay. I just realized because they're not in there. We'll talk about that first race, the late pick five, Faya. Trish Smith also joined the show. Trish, thank you. Glad that Saratoga's been better. Del Mar has been rough. Trish, it's only been one day. We've only had, what, 8 races of Del Mar. So hopefully it'll be kinder to you. But listen, Del Mar is very tough also. All right, let's get into the late pick five sequence at Saratoga. So I go ahead and bring that up on the screen right there. All right, so the late pick five at Saratoga starts in race 7. It starts at 3:29 Eastern Standard Time. And let me go ahead and actually bring this back to another screen real quick. There we go. It starts at 3:29 Eastern Standard Time. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to show. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Starts at 3:29 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go full screen actually. Uh, it is on the turf. Turf sprint, 5.5 furlongs, optional 80 claimers, and non-winners of 2 lifetime. So let's talk about the turf first. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up my predictions for this race right now. And you're going to see there on the screen, I have 2 different selections here. I've got the first A, B, and C are for if the race is on the turf. And then you see the second A, B, and C is if it is a dirt race. So let's talk about the turf very quickly first. If it's on turf, I've got 1A, 4, and 6 as my A's. The 4 is Super Dormy, a horse coming from Churchill. Now, these Churchill horses have done very well so far at Saratoga. Keep that in mind. The horse is working well, bullet work. There's speed to run into here. Has an excellent close, is very sharp for Alvarado. The 6 I thought ran very well last time, Duress, who ran in a race that a bunch of these are coming out of. But Albatrani is not very good off of a long layoff, and this horse ran huge from a wide post, 3 or 4 wide. I don't see any reason why this horse cannot run that same race or even be better. And then I've got the 1A, Shaky Shabazz, who is a 6-year-old in for the 80,000, but has a lot of early speed, could easily get the lead in this race and win on the lead. I would probably say I like the 4 and 6 a little better than the 1. However, I would go 1A, 4, 6 as my A's. I also have the 2 Battle Station and the 5 Competitive Saints coming off a layoff for George Weaver as a fresh face horse that I respect as B's, and I've got 811 as C's. Now, if it is on the dirt, and again, who knows what's going to happen in terms of scratches if it's on the dirt, but it's on the dirt, you have to like the flat one, Happy Mac. This is a run happy for Asmussen, who's going to have the rail, should be able to handle a sloppy track, has a ton of early speed. It's going to be a come catch me situation there for Happy Mac. And when you see on the screen there, that is 1X. That is not a 1 with an, with an X meaning no one. The 1X is only if it's on main track, and the 1X is Bronx Bombers. You can see right there for Rudy Rodriguez, who should get a nice stalking trip. Blinkers on. So I would say the 1 coupling would be very difficult if this race was switched to the dirt. We'll see what happens. I'd also use the 10 if it's switched to the dirt. Mount Travers. Forget that 21 morning line. If it's on dirt, this horse is not going to be 20-1. Just claimed for Joe Sharp, in for the 80,000. Will come from behind. 1 on slop, 2 back. Is a very interesting horse if the race is on the slop. But I really do think that the coupling 1 is going to be pretty tough if this is a dirt race, especially if the 1A is also in there. And I have 5, 9 also as seahorses in that race. So again, feel free to give me your opinions, please. I don't know if you've already handicapped the late pick 5 or not. As we film this, of course, the night before pick 5. Any questions, comments, concerns? Place them on the right side of the screen so we can have a wonderful chat here. But again, you're going to have to watch the weather. And this looks like to be the only race in which the surface is going to be really affected. We'll just have to see what happens. Let's go on to the next leg of the sequence. The next leg of the sequence is going to be race 8. This is a 7 furlong dirt race allowance. N1X, they have a purse of $103,000 as I go ahead and show my picks there. My top choices would be the 10 and the 12. So let's go right to the 10. This is typical Saratoga, by the way. It's a big field of very talented horses that have only won by breaking their maiden or have only won state bred or a starter. But again, you got very talented horses in this race. Let's talk about my top 2 choices. One of my top choices would be the 10, a crowded trade. I just see a question from James. James, let me go ahead, or Jim, sorry. Let me go ahead and answer Jim's question. I'll put it up on screen. Jim has a question, wants to know, do I like any of the MTOs in the first leg of the pick 5? So Jim, let's go to the MTOs and talk about them very briefly in this race. So the 9 who would be only in the main track only, I'm not a huge fan on. Obviously, Can Win is a good horse on dirt. I do not have this horse in my ABC ticket. Actually, I have the 9 as a C. Just to let you know if it's on dirt. The other main track only, I do not like the Sakari. I think the Sakari is too slow. So I believe those are the only 2 horses that we're talking about. I definitely like the 9 of the 2 of those 2 horses for sure if I had to make a decision there of the MTOs. All right, let's go back to race 8. Again, I'm the director, the producer. I'm doing it all behind the scenes, so I apologize. I have to switch my screens a little bit. Anyway, getting back to the 10 Crowded Trade. You might remember Crowded Trade. Crowded Trade was on the Triple Crown Trail. Second in the Gotham to Weyburn. Third in the Wood to Bourbonic. And then ran the Preakness and ran very poorly. I think this horse is going to be better one turn. I like the turn back. Been working well. It's got a ton of class. Crowded Trade absolutely fits in this race. And the other horse I would use is Mahamel. A very talented horse, has run buyers. Let me take this off the screen so you could see it because I went full screen. Hold on 1 second. There's on the bottom of the screen there are the PPs for Mahamel. Again, 93, 99 buyer. And that last one was in the mud. I think outside posts are extremely important going 7 furlongs at Saratoga. So I think 10 and 12 are very likely winners in this race. I would also take a look at the one. I hate the one post going 7 furlongs at Saratoga. That is a very tricky situation. You got all these horses coming down on you. Bo Liam for Steve Asmussen and Santana absolutely freaked in his first start. Went off sort of at 6 to 1, so really was not well meant considering this is a Stone Street Asmussen Santana, but was very good. This one could obviously win the race. I just don't like the post. That's the only negative I have against Bo Liam is the post position there. But I would use Bo Liam as an A. My C, excuse me, as a B. 10 for 10 coming off the layoff would be a C for me for Shug McGahee. And the 7 Witzel, a Chad Brown horse who ran at Tampa, won by 13. I'm not sure who he really faced in there. I'd use Witzel as an extreme backup as well. Again, a fantastic race there. Race 8, an allowance race. Again, questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and put them in the screen. Joe has another comment here. Joe likes the 1A in leg 1. Marshall Sterling has done a great job. He's a good follow on Twitter. I agree. He'll give you up to minute weather situations. Listen, it's Saratoga. It's going to rain there once in a while. All right. That's what happens at Saratoga. Let's go ahead to the next race. The next race is a grade 3. It is it's for 2-year-olds restricted. It is the Sanford. They're going 6 furlongs. They ran a similar race to Schuylerville for the fillies on Thursday. This is the boys version of that, running on Saturday in race 9. And there's a horse to me that certainly stands out. And that horse is the number 1, Wit. Wit ran a 70 buyer last time, but that doesn't even remotely come close to telling the story of Wit because this horse was absolutely awesome in his first start. I'm going to go ahead and show you that race right now. Wit did not break great. Wit is the 4 in this race. I'm just going to let this roll through. Wit, like I said, did not break great. You're going to see him going to be in behind horses, sort of climbing, take a little bit of dirt. You see right there in the repole colors, didn't break great, but wow. Once this, and now he's actually in between horses in a little bit of a tight spot. I mean, right here, let me just freeze it. Right there, if you had told me this horse was going to win by 6, I would have thought you were absolutely nuts. But look what this horse does. Again, sort of in tight there in between horses, then finds a hole, finds his rhythm, and this was absolutely awesome. Wit is is by Practical Joke, who is a fantastic 2-year-old first crop sire right now. You see Wit goes into the 3-4 path and it absolutely blows by this field. How good is this field coming out of it? Hard to say. I'm not sure this field had any, killers in here. But listen, look at the stride. This is a huge stride on this horse. This horse just eats up the ground. This was very, very, very impressive effort. First time out. You can see it was fantastic there. Stopped the clock very impressively in this race. Wit obviously is going to be a major factor in the race. If I had to go with a single in the pick 5, and I like to use an ABC ticket, this is the one. Here's the issue with Wit tomorrow, though. And let me go back full screen for a second. The issue with Wit tomorrow is, again, the post. You're breaking from the rail, possibly in slop, in a 12-horse field. This horse has to break cleaner. I'm not sure Witt can do the same thing he just did again tomorrow by breaking slow and just come around the entire field. This is a much different situation tomorrow. I would expect Witt to break better. I don't think Witt is a super speedy horse, but if he breaks okay and is just stalking, a few lengths off the lead, he'll probably come off the rail at some point and blow by them. But again, the rail is my only negative with Witt tomorrow in the Sanford. Other horses I would use as I go ahead and put my picks up there. There are a few horses to me that are interesting. But let me give you also some negatives and positives. The number 2, Candy Landing, was very impressive last time out. I watched every single replay of almost all these horses, just to let you know. I do my homework. I'm not going to give you opinions that are unintelligent. They might not be correct opinions when it's all said and done, but they are researched opinions. Candy Landing went off at 17-1. There was not a lot of closing that race. He ran very well. I take nothing away for Candy Landing. And you see James Graham, nicknamed Bobblehead, here at Arlington when he ran here. James Graham, a good veteran jockey, is coming all the way to Saratoga to ride this horse. He rode him first time out for Brendan Walsh. He rides this horse again. He has early speed. We'll see. I'm using him as a B. He's interesting. I just didn't like the fact that he went off at 17-1. They surprised the connections there. The 6, great name. What a great name. Maryland Brando, not Marlon Brando, but Maryland Brando, won by 11 for Gary Contessa at Delaware. Did it very well. Has got a bull at work. This could be a very nice horse. I like the wet breeding, by the way. I don't know if you can see there. It's a little bit small on the screen. But if you look at the Tomlinson, this is a 409 Tomlinson on the wet for Maryland Brando. So I see no reason why this colt cannot improve. I've also got Ottoman Empire for Tom Amos. This horse didn't run super fast in his first start, but he did it pretty impressively considering he was sort of in behind horses. Had to study a bit. I'm not going to show the replay. Came from behind, which I like when 2-year-olds break their maiden coming from behind. But I think this horse does have some lengths to make up. And even Tom Amos mentioned today on the show on Fox that he thinks Witt could be a monster and he might be up against it. Headline Report, the 9, another one for Wesley Ward. Surprisingly, did not break great, by the way. Again, we're not going to watch that replay, but Headline Report did not break great in that first start. Was able to get to the outside, won easily. Again, I'm not really sure who he beat. Has been off since. Has been working well. I'm sure he's going to show more speed in this race for Velasquez and Wesley Ward. And then I'd use the 5, Dance Code, as a C, who actually has better buyer than some of these others, but it's coming in a 4.5 furlong race from Parks, which to me is a bit of a negative. But again, the Sanford race 9 to me is completely about Witt, the 1 for Pletcher. If he breaks, I think he's going to find a way to win that race. If he had to single, that's where I would go. Let's go ahead on to race 10 of the sequence. Actually, this is the 4th leg of the sequence, race 10. Race 10. This is a race that I always look forward to every year. It's on the inner turf, mile and 1/8. It is the grade 1, Diana. This is for older filly mares. There are so many great horses have won this race. You can just go back and take a look at who's won this race. Just unbelievable. Sister Charlie, I can go on and on. Chad Brown has been fantastic. I believe he's won the last 5. That's right. He's won the last 5 editions of the Diana. This particular race does not have any superstars in it, which is unusual because this race has had superstars in it before. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Even though there are no superstars, I'm going with the Chad Brown, and I feel very strongly about this horse. I plan on putting a win bet on her if she's 2-1 or higher. Maybe even I'll bet her at 9-5. I'm playing in a contest tomorrow at a local OTB, and if I'm still alive and have money left, I'm probably going to put all my money left or a substantial amount on this horse. And the horse I'm referring to is the Chad Brown number 7, Lamista. Lamista has a lot of things going for her. Let me talk about Lamista briefly. First of all, this horse will have no problem with the mile and 1/8 distance. also will have no problem to give in the ground, and it's almost guaranteed that there will be give in the ground in the race tomorrow. I'd be shocked if there is not a little bit give in the ground. Last time, Lamisa got a very good trip, no question about it. Not going to show the replay. Got a nice inside trip, but it was an extremely slow pace, and just missed against Harvey's Little Goyle, who is in this race and got first run. Uh, Chad Brown has said that this is his best hope in the Diana. I think there is enough speed to set it up. Speed has obviously been holding very well at Saratoga so far. I'm hoping they're going to go a little bit in this race. Who knows what's going to happen? However, Lamisa's got a monster kick. I think she's going to love the distance. I think she's going to love the wet turf course. I trust IRAD. I don't know if I'm going to get 5-2, but I might because she doesn't lay over the field by the numbers at all. And there's some other good ones in here. I am very high on Lamista tomorrow. The other two horses I would use, and you see I'm only going 3 deep, is the 5 Harvey Lills Goyle, who admittedly was not very good last time at all in the New York. If the track comes up very soft, I'm downgrading Harvey's Little Goyle. Again, if the track comes up soft and they get a lot of rain tomorrow, I will downgrade Harvey's Little Goyle. I think this horse prefers a little bit of a firmer turf course. I'm not sure what happened last time, other than maybe doesn't want to go 1.25 miles, but ran very well in the Breeders' Cup last year at 1 3/16. My feeling was more the turf course, not the distance. Harvey's Little Goyle can absolutely win. Will again be ahead of Lamista at the top of the stretch, and I think has a chance to run back to one of her good races. And the other horse I would use is the 6, Summer Romance, who lost to her stablemate in the Just a Game, Althika, who's also in this race. But 2 back, Summer Romance walked the dog at Maidan and won in 1.125 miles. And Sai has been super aggressive so far at Saratoga, especially on the turf. If this horse gets loose again and walks the dog again, she can absolutely win. However, Summer Romance, the 6, and the number 8, Althika, who I don't like at all, by the way, in this race, both are used to more one-turn races. This is a legit 2 turns 1.125 miles. Why don't I like Althika? Althika got a dream inside trip last time in the Just a Game. I did like her last time. I don't like her this time. 2 back, she lost to Summer Romance. I do not think this horse wants to go 1.125 miles at all. I could be completely wrong. We'll see. I think she's a very good miler. I don't think the 2 turns, and I don't think the 1.125 miles is what Althika wants, as compared to Summer Romance, who I think could get the distance. But again, a lot of these races you see, the Maidan races are 1-turn races. Those are her best races. I'm not sure about the distance for Summer Romance either. But the bottom line is, if there's any pace at all, even a little bit of pace, and I'd like to see Irad a little more aggressive early. If Lamista was in within a few lengths at the top of the stretch, I really like Lamista in the Grade 1 Diana tomorrow. We've got a few comments. Let me take a look. Michael Bryant, I talked to Michael, I believe, on Twitter today. Michael, I'm going to make a little adjustment for what I said on Twitter. I told Michael today on Twitter I didn't like either of the Charles Appleby horses. I took a look again. I like the 6 a lot more than the 8 tomorrow, Michael. One of those horses can win, especially the 6. I just think it's going to be Chad's Brown day tomorrow. By the way, Chad Brown has not won yet at Saratoga. It's only been 2 days, but Chad Brown has not won yet, so we'll see. We also have Jay is on the show. Jay, thank you. He commented on an earlier race, so Jay, thanks for joining our show. We've got one more race left, and again, I'm keeping these short. So let me go ahead and go to the last race of the Pick 5. The last race of the Pick 5 is, again, typical Saratoga, a very good maiden race, $100,000 around the dirt, going 7 furlongs. Go ahead and bring in my picks for race 11. I'm going to three outside horses. I like outside posts going 6 and 7 or 6.5 and 7 at Saratoga anyway. And the three horses on outside to me lay over the others. I'll briefly talk about them. The 7, a Ducal or Ducali, is coming from Churchill, ran very well against Time Leverage, who is a nice horse. This is horse for Juddmonte. Twirling Candy, Brad Cox. See no reason why he won't be able to handle any slop if it comes up that way. Asking for a Baskin ran a huge number, a 93 last time. However, um, he did get an absolute perfect trip. It was against Mahamel, as you see there. You can see there in the PP. So take a look and see how Mahamel does earlier in that pick five sequence. But again, asking for a Baskin was 28 to 1 and got a perfect trip. So I'm slightly negative to asking for a Baskin because of those two situations, but obviously he can win this race. I'm interested in a price in Laughing Boy, the 9. Made a major improvement first time as a 3-year-old for Ken McPeak. Cost $400,000. Is by Distorted Humor out of Congrats mare. So bred to love the slop. Ran in a mile race and did it very well in Churchill, losing to a horse called Business Model, who didn't run great earlier on Thursday, but that was a race that didn't set up for him. I think the 9, Laughing Boy, is very interesting. Should get a nice stalking trip. I would just go 7, 8, 9 in that race. The 4 is 9 to 2 morning line. I'm against him. The 5 is 6 to 1 morning line. I'm against him. These horses have been facing less, in my opinion. I took a look at Cool Quest, the 2, because he's got speed. Maybe he can wire the field, but I think those others on the outside are just simply more talented. I would go 7, 8, 9 in the last leg of the pick five. Let me go ahead and show you my caveman ticket. Again, thanks for watching the show tonight. I'm going to be on every night, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're new to the show, handicapping the late pick five at Saratoga the next day. Again, for those of you that are new to the show, I play ABC caveman tickets. I do not play, or excuse me, I play ABC ticket maker tickets. I do not play caveman tickets. I just put them up on the screen for people that want to spend less money and also who are not familiar with the ABC ticket maker method. There's my caveman there below. The caveman I had up yesterday. I just fell short today by one race, but again, there was a major scratch in the stake race that really affected my single. Hopefully that won't happen tomorrow. Again, check the weather. I would go 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12. Again, I would single Wit in the third leg on a cheaper ticket. 5, 6, 7 in the Diana, and then 7, 8, 9 at the end. I could almost single Lamista there as the 7 and go deeper in other legs. That would be my other option, is to single the 7 Lamista there in leg 4 and maybe go deeper in probably leg 2 if I had to make an adjustment. There's a very cheap $45 ticket if you're interested in playing. Let me see if we have any other comments that I want to talk about. Michael, appreciate you joining the show again tonight. Thank you. Joe, appreciate your comments. Haskell thought. I do have a Haskell thought. I'm not betting the Haskell. Listen, I have nothing against Monmouth. I tweeted this out earlier today. I love the people. I love the track, even though I've never been there. I used to bet Monmouth all the time. Because of the crop rules right now, Joe, I cannot bet the Haskell. I'm sorry. It's tough enough to handicap these races and win them, and then you have to worry about a horse losing by inches because a jock can't use the crop. Sorry, not a fan. But I do have an opinion in general. I think if Hot Rod Charlie is ready off of the Belmont, I think he's going to be very tough. He's just going to set a nice stalking trip. You've got Midnight Bourbon in that race. Mandaloon obviously can win the race. He's a big threat. Following C, a very interesting horse for Todd Pletcher, is going to be live. The problem is he's got the rail. He's going to have to gun to the lead with no whip. He's going to have to run a monster race to beat these other runner-up finishers in their respective Triple Crown races. But Following C is a horse to follow, pun intended, going forward. I expect Following C to run pretty well tomorrow, and then probably turn back in the H. Allen Jerkins 7 furlong Grade 1 at Saratoga for restricted 3-year-olds, which I think is on Travers Day. I could be wrong about that. But Following C is an interesting horse. I like Hot Rod Charlie tomorrow. I don't have a strong opinion. One of my main reasons is I don't like the whip or crop situation, but it's going to be a great day at Monmouth tomorrow. Feel free. And my guy, Eddie Olchek, who I had on early this week, will be broadcasting from Monmouth Park for the Haskell. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and just switch a few things here as I get the ending set up. Please make sure, again, you follow me on Twitter at HKravitz. I'm going to go ahead and also just show a scroll there on the bottom of the screen. Subscribe, comment. Next Thursday, I'm going to have derbyologist Craig Johnson, very well-known person on YouTube and on Twitter. He has excellent opinions in horse racing. He's going to be on the show, and I say the show, the main show, the flagship HHH Racing podcast show next Thursday. But again, I'm on at 9 o'clock Eastern again tomorrow for a quick review of Sunday's late pick 5 at Saratoga. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the HHH Racing Podcast, episode 58, segment 2 of Pick 5s at the Spa. I've been your host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you. Good luck tomorrow at Saratoga. Take care, and good night, everyone.